know, I'm Goddess Akasha, of course, and I teach Yonism. So today in Yonism class, we're going to be speaking about cymatics and sound therapy. Okay, so what I have here, actually, before I begin, what I have here is a tuning fork that is, tuned to 528 hertz. So we're actually going to get into that a little bit later on. So I just want you to be able to hear this. So, welcome all who are new. Welcome back those who are, old veterans who've been here, who've been following me for so long. And I just want to thank you guys for supporting me thus far. I do want to apologize for the delay in the postponing of class. This particular week was pretty busy for me. So as you guys know already, I don't always get on live. I also do things outside of social media. There's always behind the scenes work going on. So, this week was just a little bit hectic for me. So, but as I promised, there will be a class every week. So I'm making sure that I get this out for you guys. It's really, really important to, the understanding of Yonism and our daily practices. Okay, so our daily practice is to wake up and attune our energy to the universe. So that means starting your day with sound therapy. Okay, so you can begin your day in a myriad of different ways, right? So, as you heard in the beginning of this video, is singing bowls. Okay, so we're going to get into those a little bit later, but singing bowls, hand drums, any particular instrument, any instrument can actually change the frequency of your body. Okay, so it's really, really imperative and important that we pay attention to how we are walking and entering into this reality. You don't just want to wake up and just respond to stimuli. Like once we realize that we're co-creators, that means we take responsibility in the circumstances that we create, right? So that means knowing ourselves and actually creating the reality that is conducive to life, the cycles of life, right? Not just for ourselves, but for everybody, okay? But yeah, so today's element of self-mastery is environmental psychology. Now, environmental psychology is the study of understanding how your environment affects you, right? The correlation between outside elements and the mind, okay? So we are speaking on sound today, cymatics, okay? So cymatics, let's define what cymatics is. So cymatics actually has two separate definitions. So I'm going to put them both here. And I hope you guys know by now that it's important to make sure that when you come to class, this is not really just a video for you to just really sit back and watch and have your popcorn. I mean, you can if you want to, but I suggest that you guys make sure you have a notebook specifically for Yonism and you are bringing it to class every time and you are taking notes. I take the time to write down the notes for you so you know what to write down and you don't have to worry about dictation, because sometimes I can speak fast. You know what I mean? I'm from New York, so I can definitely speak fast. So I try to slow myself down and put down the most important parts of my lecture so that you guys can be able to know exactly what's important and you can jot down the main points. Okay, so you can always go back and study. cymatics is the study of wave phenomena, sound, and its visual representation. Okay, I'm going to get into the second definition in a second. But yeah, so basically, there was a time in which it was accidentally discovered that if you were to pour sand or powder, any particular type of fine dust, whether it's flour, powder, or fine sand, on top of a vibrating plate, that actually it would cause different geometrical shapes. Okay, so there was a scientist, I forget his name, I'll try to put it in the video during editing. He would basically vibrate the plate by utilizing a violin, and different patterns would show up on that plate from him vibrating that plate. So it's very, very interesting, because now we come into understanding and figuring out what the beginning of the Bible was talking about. Okay, so in the Bible, when it says John 1:1, it says, I'm gonna make sure I'm reading it correctly. It says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Okay, and the same thing also with Genesis chapter 1, 2 and 3. So it says, Genesis says, chapter 1, verse 2 and verse 3 says, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the waters. Okay, and verse 3 says, then God said, let there be light, and there was light. Okay, so what we're coming to understand is that as we are coming into the realization of what this reality is, we're starting to understand the mechanisms as to how it works, or what makes this reality real. What makes this experience that we are experiencing something that is tangible, right? Something that is tangible. So we are understanding how we get the physical, if that makes sense, right? So you remember my last class where the element of self-mastery was metaphysics. Metaphysics goes beyond physics, right? Because physics has a lot to do with this earth, right? So metaphysics is beyond, or understanding interdimensionally what reality is. Okay, so this particular class we're going to be dealing with, because we dealt with visualization, how we observe our Yoniverse, how we observe our reality. So this one is, well, what are we observing? What are we really seeing when we are looking at a solid object? How do things come into shape? How do things come into form, right? And we dealt a little bit of that with understanding the golden ratio, right? And one thing that we discovered is that everything in this reality is made from a spiral, right? Like that is the divine design, the spiral. But understanding that a spiral is, what we see as a spiral is nothing but a sound wave, right? So sound waves usually look like this, right? Sound waves usually look like this, but that's looking at it from the peripheral, right? If we were to look at it from the top, let's say we're looking from this direction, we would see this. This is what sound waves are, okay? Sound waves are nothing but spirals in motion. So it's basically the wave that we are seeing, we're being able to hear it auditory. So again, even when we're thinking about the senses and how we're observing this particular reality, understanding that the only sense we really have is touch, right? And the reason why I say that, because you might be like, girl, what you talking about? The reason why I say that is because light, we understand from my last class that this particular reality is made up of light photons, right? Particles of light. So particles of light, once they hit your eye, they become images, right? That's one thing that we learned. So the same thing happens with the ears, right? So light or sound waves, right? Particles are hitting our eardrums, and then they get transferred and interpreted into what we hear, right? So again, another thing, right? I want to go back to the verse because there's this one verse is very important, which is why I made sure to mention it. So Genesis 1 and 2, it says, the earth was without form and void, right? So basically you have to think about reality as inert, not moving, right? No movement. Okay, so no movement. That's what they mean by, and the earth was void and without form, right? So how did it go from void and without form to something with form, or something that can be perceived? It says here, okay, and darkness was upon the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the waters. So movement happened first. So movement within water, movement in water, that is the beginning of what we can see as tangible, right? Movement upon water. Okay, so going back to cymatics and the experiments, the way in which they conduct the experiments is basically utilizing, like I said, powders or fine sand or flour or something of that nature. Another way in which they host their experiments is utilizing water. Okay?
And it appears that the water is frozen in time. And what it's really doing is showing you exactly how the water is vibrating in space because of the sound frequencies.
So water is a major conductor for sound. So what they do is they will put water inside of a bowl or a plate, and they would hook it up to a speaker. And once that speaker is on, you can start to see ripples and waves inside the water, which also gives you patterns, right? It also gives you patterns. So each particular pattern that you see is correlated with a particular sound. So each sound has its own pattern. So a lot of these patterns tend to look like snowflakes, right? And that's evidence right there that water forms to the sound in the atmosphere, because each snowflake is different, right? Like up in the upper atmosphere where we cannot go, right? There's a different frequency in those spaces, and the snowflakes are representative of what sound is happening. And remember, I told you guys, even in my last class, that as human beings, we are limited in what we can perceive, both visually and auditorily, right? So we may not be able to go into the atmosphere and be able to hear what it sounds like, but just know that these are different dimensions in which, if we were energetic beings, we would be able to hear what the heavens sound like, because that's what the skies are, the heavens, right? So, and I can't remember when, but they always say that, oh, the heavens sound so beautiful, like it's the most beautiful music you've ever heard. And this is the reason why when you go to church, there's always a choir. There's always an organ. The reason why they do that is because when you are dealing with spirit, you have to deal with the basic components of who we are, what we are, and how we work, right? So the spirit is alive or it is energized by sound. The spirit is influenced by sound, right? Because the spirit is but a piece of the primordial chaos, which is what? Water, right? Or amniotic fluid. It's water. It's cosmic waters. The cosmic waters is your spirit, okay? It's a different type of water from what we sit here drinking, Essentia and all that. But that's exactly what it is, okay? So when we are exposed to music, there is a significant effect of what that happens, which is why sometimes if you hear something so beautiful, you'll start to cry. Or sometimes you'll hear something and you get thrown back into a memory from childhood or something, because these sounds, they are frequencies, and they dictate how you express. You understand what I'm saying? They dictate your spirit and how you are feeling. They dictate your emotions, right? And your emotions is just water moving, okay? It's water moving in your body, right? It's either you're gonna cry, you're gonna laugh, you're gonna get ecstatic, whatever. That's what that is, right? So we kind of have to understand these things. So when you go to church and you see people like, praising, and they're like super excited and grateful, and they're able to leave church and feel a newfound hope for life, it's because while they are getting sermons and being spoken to about this, that, what they're getting in between each talking segment is a song. Or even throughout the sermon, throughout their talking, you're gonna hear the organ play in the middle of the sermon, right? It's because they are basically doing a spell to keep people and to basically re-energize the people so that they can go back out into the world and be able to deal with all the harsh things that we deal with. So let's keep it real, right? The church, which is why there's so many churches, in certain areas, which is usually in low-income areas. There's so many churches in low-income areas because these people who are impoverished, they suffer in a different kind of way than the wealthy does. So what happens is they need to be regenerated in a particular kind of way. And not all the time they have money for concerts or things of that nature, right? Because you can always go to a live show or go to a jazz club. Sometimes they go to what moves their spirit. They want to, of course, have an understanding of who they are. They want to have a relationship with our creatress, right? And they're coupling that with, I need to be regenerated. I need to have hope. I need to be able to keep going in this life. I need to be reminded of, what I will get after this life. And I'm just utilizing that particular mind frame because I'm thinking about, the traditional Black Christian church, okay? Because that's where most of us come from. That's where most of us come from. So we understand and we know that that's what the music does. A lot of us may not have liked going to church as children, right? But the one thing we loved was the music, the choir. It was either, jumping, exciting, you know what I mean? Or it was just beautiful, So one thing that we learn is that sound has an effect on your body, okay? And because we know this, we have the ability to use this appropriately to where we can use it in our daily practice every day without having to go to church on Sundays. You know what I mean? I want you guys to be empowered to know who you are, and I want you to be able to take control of your life, take control of your circumstances, right? We're not victims in this reality. We're victims if we choose to be, which again, the responsibility still falls on us with what we go through, right? So we are co-creators, okay? We can't control everything, but we are co-creators, and the little bit that we are able to do, this is how you create a life of ease and, and peace of mind, right? So making sure that in the beginning of the day, you are starting your day with frequencies that will keep you calm so you can handle things throughout the day. Okay? You know, I know you guys have anybody who has been inside the spiritual community for a little bit, you've learned about the law of attraction or manifesting the things that you want, right? So in general, one of the most popular manifestation techniques that's so easy is when people tell you to speak into your water before you drink it. And that's how you can manifest, you know, whatever. Because what happens is, whatever vibration and intention that you are putting into that water, the molecular structure of that water changes. This is also the reason why when you are watering plants, they tell you to speak to your plants when you're watering it. And there has been studies and experiments done to where if they, you know, spoke hateful words and watered the plant versus if they spoke love and watered the plant. And one plant got all brown and died, and the other plant is thriving. Okay, so it really has nothing to do really with just putting water there, but it's about the intention that you're placing in the water, and you are basically changing the molecular structure to dictate how that entity is going to be expressed in this reality, right? So that's a form of co-creation that I'll be talking about. Another thing is, because we are about 85 to 90% water as human beings, right? As scientists say, we're primordial beings, okay? Primordial chaos, which is amniotic fluid of the cosmic womb, right? So because we are chaos beings, we are 100% made of cosmic substance, which is water, right? So because we are made of water, we each have our own frequency that we emit, right? It's called our auric field. It's this egg-like shape of energy that's just surrounding us no matter where we are, right? So again, this is the reason why if you were to come across someone and you ever feel like, oh, my spirit just doesn't like this person, and you don't know why. You've never met them before, never spoke to them, you don't know nothing about them, but you've gotten around somebody and they just make you feel anxious, uncomfortable, and you get bad vibes, or your stomach starts to turn. You know what I mean? All of this is because their frequency, right? The frequency that they are emitting is contradictory to yours, right? So it's causing a sort of dissonance, right? One thing, there is this experiment. If I can find the video, I'll put it in the link. There's this experiment where, and this is what's called resonance, right? Resonance is basically when you put, what is this? Okay, so the tuning fork, right? You hear it? So if I were to put another tuning fork next to this one and it's tuned to a different frequency, say it's tuned to 440, while this is attuned to 528, if I activated this frequency, the other one would stay still. If I put two tuning forks that are both vibrating or attuned to 528, if I hit this one, the other one will vibrate as well, and they both would sing, okay? So the reason, and that's what we call resonance. Resonance is when two things are vibrating at its natural vibration and it matches and it affects the next thing next to it, okay? So that's resonance, right? So when you get around someone and you just feel at home, comfortable, you feel like you could just talk to them, you feel like they are familiar to you, like they're a family, right? That's when you guys are at an equilibrium, okay? That's when you guys are resonating on the same frequency, which is why there's a difference between your blood relatives and your soul tribe, right? Because these are people that you resonate on the same frequency with, and they end up being your spirit family, right? So it's all about energy and being able to match that energy. That's who your family is. One of the modalities that we use, right? So again, cymatics, the second definition, I'm going to come to it. So it says therapy in which sound waves are directed on the body to promote health. Now, because we have come to understand that sound is basically what builds this reality, sound waves and water, right? Water and then matter. So all the elements plus sound, okay? That's what's building this reality. We also have noticed how the body has a major, is majorly affected by sound, right? We see this, with any type of music, any type of instrument, right? But now that we understand this, it has been accepted into the medical industry where it's now like, okay, we're going to try utilizing sound waves to help with cellular regeneration. Okay, so one of the modalities that we use in Yonism, especially me, okay, I don't know if you guys know, but just recently I went through, because I didn't do a video on it, but just recently I had a major surgery, and I got my uterine fibroids removed, okay, because they were large and they were causing pain and right? So one of the things that happened was, of course, I'm in the hospital, all this stuff is happening, and one of the things that happens is when you go through a major surgery, and this is disclaimer, I'm speaking about personal bodily functions and stuff, okay? When you go through a major surgery, and you are under anesthesia, what happens is afterwards, it's to the point where your body kind of shuts down and then your bowels aren't working, they're not moving. So you kind of just need to help it move, right? So I'm in the hospital, and what I'm doing is to help it move is, playing sound frequencies to help my bowels move. And at first I wasn't, because I was just not feeling well. But then once I was well enough to start getting up and walking around and things of that nature, so I started my meditative practice, and I started playing frequencies 528, because that is the frequency of the Yoniverse, okay? And I played that in the morning, and I meditated, quieted my mind, and that's actually the very same day that my tube fell out, my body just started working, I was able to use the bathroom, all that good stuff. So it shows that this actually has an effect. It has always been something I use even beforehand. When I have my menstrual cramps, I utilize my singing bowl to, and plus drinking tea with herbs, right? Because we're going to get into herbs. We're going to do a class on herbs as well. But yes, herbs, tea, and my singing bowls, as well as chanting, okay? As well as chanting. And it would relieve the cramps, okay? So I suggest a lot of my young goddesses to try and get into a lot of the things that helps you ease your menstrual cramps. So grounding, very effective. All you need is grounding. Tea and sound healing, okay? Sound therapy, okay? So this is very, very important. So what you're hearing in the background is something that I use all the time. I'm going to show you. So this is a singing bowl. This is a singing bowl, right? And this one is glass. This one is glass. Let me get the mallet. So ancient Tibetan singing bowls are usually made out of different metals that's very, very, very rich and it has its own frequency. So basically, if you were to hit it with a rubber mallet, it would give off a sound that is attuned to the earth, right? And that's able to heal you, right? What I have here is one that's made out of glass. And usually when you have these, especially ones that are colored in a certain way, each singing bowl, the glass ones, are attuned to a certain frequency, just like tuning fork there. And each color is representative of the chakras, right? So this one, being that it is this color, this is the one for my crown, okay? Okay, this one is for my crown. I just wanted to show you what it looks like and have you hear what it sounds like. But I'm gonna put this down. So I just wanted to bring that up because that's one of the modalities that we use, especially in yanas, because of the benefits. So I'm going to go over the benefits, and I want you guys to be able to write this down, okay? Okay, because so get this chart down because we're going to understand what sound therapy is and how singing bowls are able to actually help us, right? It helps us in actually 3 major ways, okay? So physical, mental, and spiritual. So we're going to go over how singing bowls actually affect the body, okay? So some of the things it helps with deep relaxation. Muscle regeneration. So if you go to the gym and you are sore, play the singing bowl. Pain relief. That includes headaches, joints, muscles, all those things. Improves blood circulation. Better digestion. It synchronizes your cells. And it helps with the elimination of toxins. So this basically helps boost your immunity, right? It boosts your immunity. So we're going to the mental and emotional state. So how does singing bowls help our mental and emotional state? So it unblocks mental blockages or emotional blockages, right? So it helps us better concentrate. We have more energy, and strength. And it boosts creativity. Okay, so make sure you guys are getting this. So the spiritual side, it affects us with balance, okay? Balancing our emotions and cleansing our chakras. Balancing our emotions and cleansing our chakras or activating them. And also, it raises our frequency. Like I said earlier, this is why we start the day with sound healing, because it raises our frequency for the day. So we start our day appropriately. And the very last one, it opens you to the frequency of love, right? So a love frequency is exactly what I was talking about, okay? It opens you to the frequency of love. Now, understand something. Understand something, right? While I'm able to hear what love sounds like, right? Love is actually a state of being. Love is the natural state of existence. Okay, so when you are thinking about this is exactly why in Hindu psychology, they believe the very first sound of the universe was Om. Okay, because Om signifies existence, which is also unconditional love. Okay, healing, thriving life. Okay, so like I told you guys before, love is healing, right? If you love someone, you can tell usually by their health. Okay, if you're in a toxic relationship, you can tell when someone's in a toxic relationship because their health is declining. Because again, stress affects us as well. Stress affects us as well. So again, when we're talking about love, love is a frequency of 528. 528 hertz, okay? And I want to move out the way so you guys can see what I wrote. So go ahead and write these things down. Okay, write these things down because it's very important so that you can basically understand. So if someone ever asks you, why are you, banging on those bowls? You know what I mean? If they've never seen it before, never heard of it, you can understand what you're doing, why you're doing it. Also, it helps to place your intention in what you're doing, right? So if you are having pain, you should be able to utilize your sound bowl or even just put it on YouTube, right? Put it on YouTube because a lot of times we don't really have the funds right now to get things. Put the sound on YouTube, type in singing bowls, and you'll get a billion videos, okay? So type that in, and when you are sitting there meditating and you're breathing, making sure that your mind is placing, imagine your cells going from a shriveled state to a plump, healthy state. You can also utilize Reiki to help push that energetic pain away. Push it away. Wipe it off of you. Wipe it off of you. Right? So again, we tie in a lot of these modalities. So I take my time, you know, with these classes to break down to you in small segments, you know, what Yanism is and what it is that we believe, what it is that we do, what our sacred practices are, how we're able to create our reality, how we're able to move and operate in this reality, and break it down to you so you understand, right? So utilizing all of these modalities together is what Yanism is, okay? So we're adding in the understanding that this reality is made up of water and sound, right? And then adding in mind, because we're all consciousness. We're all consciousness. If you add this together, we have the ability to heal our bodies. We have the ability to create whatever reality we want. If you've ever heard of phantom pregnancies, right? If you've ever heard of that, then you know what I mean, okay? So a phantom pregnancy is a state in which a woman is growing a belly. She's going through all the hormones. You know, she's feeling movement in her uterus and all those other things, but it turns out she's not pregnant. And it's because her mind has came up with the mind has told her that she is pregnant, that she's with child, right? But it's not in her body in this particular reality, right? But she's experiencing all the symptoms, all of the effects of being pregnant, right? And that shows you the power of the mind, okay? The power of the mind is crazy, okay? So now that we know these things, like my mother say, you know, if you know better, you do better, right? So now that we know these things, now that we have a better understanding of the Yoniverse and how it works, we can be able to navigate in a way in which we are in knowing, not just running around like chickens with our heads cut off, right? Or just responding to stimuli, just dunce, you know what I mean? And I understand what that's like, because when you come into life and you're told everything, you really have no idea. You don't know. You're just going with what you're told. And as you break out of that mold of, you know, playing a particular character that other people have molded for you, whether it's society, parents, friends, whatever, right? Media, it has molded a particular character. So as you come into your spiritual journey, you are discovering who you are, right? Utilizing truth and objective facts and science. So, you know, when you are going through these things and you are coming into this knowing thyself, right? Knowing who you are, then you know how to move, you know how to navigate. You are making, you know, decisions with intention, not because you think you're supposed to or out of obligation, but you're doing it because you know, right? So coming into Yanism is coming into true knowing. Not I think, not I believe, but I know. And when you know, you can go through life a different kind of way, and it brings you a certain type of, you know, confidence, right? Confidence, identity, and peace of mind, because you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. You know why you're here, and you know where you're going, right? You can make, you know, informed decisions, not just guessing, right? Because a lot of us is just going through life guessing. You know, that's why everybody's so stuck, you know, on, you know, certain religious beliefs, because they feel like that's the blueprint. But it's not just having a particular belief system, because belief is, you don't need evidence to know that. That's why everything I speak to you guys about, like Yanism, is not like it's not a regular type religion. You know what I mean? Where you go off of just belief, you know, like, oh, you heard a particular story or myth and you just like how it sounds. You like the lesson that you learned from it. And then boom, that's your reality. No, Yonism is based in reality that can be observed and proven. Okay? So, again, I'm so glad you guys are here. I'm so glad you guys are here, and I just want to thank you. This does conclude our class for today. Something short, not too long. Hopefully it wasn't that long. And, you know, next time, I want you guys to make sure that throughout this week before next class, you are trying to incorporate sound therapy in your daily life. It's best to do it in the morning. If you are a tea drinker, drink your tea. If you're a coffee drinker, drink your coffee and turn on the sound frequencies and watch how it changes how you feel. And, you know, you could just listen to it for about 10-15 minutes. 15 minutes is a good time. 15 minutes is a good time to listen, sit down, breathe, breathe, and, and see how you feel this week. Do it every day this week, before next class, and then come in and let me know how you feel. I really want to know. Let me know how you feel, and tell me if you feel like you have been more relaxed, more calm, just you felt more balanced throughout the week. So let me know. I really want to know. Okay? If you are into chanting, right? You can start with Om. I always share chants with you guys, but just to make it simple, you can start with Om. And make sure that when you're doing it slow. And also make sure you are utilizing your breath in a particular kind of way, which means breathing. Okay? Make sure there's a vibration, right? So you're breathing in and you're utilizing the seed sound, and you are coming down and exhaling at the same time, okay? That's how you do it, okay? So I almost forgot to tell you guys that. But yeah, that's all for today's class. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much. And I hope to see you guys next time. Remember, much love and blessings to you all. And remember to worship the Yoni, okay?